is to the body. We should read to give our souls a chance to luxuriate. I cannot live without books. Anyone who has a library and a garden wants for nothing. Reading is a basic tool and a garden wants for nothing. He who destroys a good book kills reason itself. Except a living man, there is nothing more wonderful than a book. A good book is the best of friends, the same today and forever. A library is a hospital for the mind. Force yourself to reflect on what you read, paragraph by paragraph. There is more treasure in books than in the Andes Lawton Treasure Island. The best effect of any book is that it excites the reader of self-activity. When I step into this library, I cannot understand why I ever step out of it. It's the good reader that makes the good book. When I get a little of money, I buy books, and if any is left, I buy food and clothes. We say library was dukedom large enough. Some books leave us free and some books make us free. The worth of a book is to be measured by what you can carry away from it. A good book has no ending. A book is like a garden carried in the pocket. Books let us into their souls and lay open to us the secrets of our own. Medicine for the soul, inscription over the door of the library at Thebes. Books are lighthouses erected in the great sea of time. Books are embalmed minds. The oldest books are sternly just out to those who have not read them. Good as it is to inherit a library, it is better to collect one. To read without reflecting is like eating without digesting. A house without book is like a room without windows. He fed his spirit with the bread of books. Never judge a book by its movie. The wise man reads both book and life itself. English as a global language. Americans often consider their English as the American language. Apart from British English and American English, there are speakers of Canadian English, Australian English, Indian English, Nigerian English, etc. All these varieties maintain some differences due to mother tongue interferences in accent, borrowing of the vernacular words and expressions in vocabulary. Native cultural formations in syntax and other similar changes. Apart from this, we have the hybrid varieties of English or Englishes that may also include Pidgin English and Creolized English, Standard English. A pervasive phenomenon of contemporary societies is the designation of one dialect of a language as the standard correct form of the language. In UK, it is the RP, revised pronunciation. And in the USA, it is say standard American English. It is the form of language used in news programs, in the national media, and the language of legal and government functions. It is also the language used in the schools, a vehicle for education. In linguistic terms, no one dialect is more correct, better, or more logical than other dialects. Any idea or feeling that may be expressed in one dialect can be expressed as easily as in other dialect. Then the idea that RP or say is the correct form of the language is a social attitude or even language prejudice. Nowadays, we find that BBC English is not just RP anymore. The so-called non-standard English also figures in the official media, documents and programs in countries like UK and USA. Formal and informal styles in English. Every speaker of any language has acquired a few language styles even without being consciously aware of it. We make shifts according to the occasions in a formal setting. One style is employed, whereas in an informal setting, the style often is different. For example, in formal party, one may offer tea saying, "May I offer you some tea?" or "Would you like to have some cup of tea?" In an informal setting, you offer simply saying tea or some tea. This shift is unconscious and natural for native English speaker. Formal English often occurs in social contexts that are formal, serious and official, in which speakers feel the necessity to take care of their languages. The 4 skills for communication. Their manner of saying something. For example, job interview, meeting as an important person, appearing before a court law, etc. Informal speech occurs in casual, relaxed settings where speech is spontaneous and rapid. For example, chatting with close friends, interacting with family in relaxed moods. Sometimes educated speakers educate the formal language style with the so-called standard language. The informal style is often termed as sloppy or slang. But on close scrutiny, it turns out that the informal style is also governed by rules every bit as precise, logical and rigorous as the rules governing formal language. Difference between formal and informal language. In English, the main difference between formal and informal English is that the informal style has greater amount of abbreviation, shortening, contraction and deletion. The formal style is often redundant and verbose, whereas the informal style is brief, to the point and grammatical as well. It is to be noted that every speaker of English has an abbreviated style in casual speech. The significance of global English. Like our world, English is also undergoing tremendous change to cope with the changing global scenario. The term global English is the product of globalization. Now English is often stripped of its local color, cultural class, race and geography. The IT revolution also revolutionized English and changed its fortunes beyond all expectations. Now English is the tool for international communication as the language of the network society. It has become culturally neutral. Its neutrality, flexibility and adaptability make it acceptable among all major languages. Since the demand for English has increased tremendously, English education has also spread widely across the world, catering to specific needs and requirements. International courses such as EFL, ESL, TESOL, ET, Ketera are offered to suit the specific demands of the users for English tasks and disciplines. The strategies, modules and focus vary depend on the learner's needs like business, commerce, trade, technology, media, internet, etc. The communicate function of English has become paramount since the language has advanced from its colonial use to meet global demands.
Listening. Listening, as we know, is an active performance. Effective listening is a desirable skill and can be cultivated over time. Good listening habits are intrinsically linked with retention and retrieval of information. Since ours is an information age, this can prove to be an asset. Effective listening enhances one's productivity in the society and helps maintain better interpersonal relations. Difference between listening and hearing. Listening is much more than just trying to hear and disappear the phonetic sounds made by the speaker. It involves a matching of the listeners and speakers' facilities. If the listener indulges in passive or peripheral listening, what results is an incomplete understanding of the content, and this affects retrieval. Active listening is more demanding and depends on the following factors: level of interest of the listener, his or her verbal competence, familiarity with peculiarities of speech, ability to overcome distractions. Let us examine now a few common listening scenarios and devise some effective listening strategies. God bless you. Listening to a conversation. There are several occasions in our personal and professional lives. When we have to listen to conversations and report them or act upon them at a later time. Let us now consider some distinct features of spoken language which can make comprehension a challenge for the listeners. Spoken language, being spontaneous, is not as well structured as the written form. Speakers often use incomplete utterances, hesitation, and pause to convey their thoughts. Some speakers make liberal use of jargon and colloquial expressions in their speech. Some speakers make liberal use of jargon and while average speed of speech is only around 100 to 200 words per minute. Listeners' speed of processing is around 400 words. This results in listeners getting distracted. Speakers make a few assumptions about the listener's prior knowledge and leave certain things unsaid. This can lead to incomplete comparisons by listeners. Tips to overcome these challenges: focus on the meaning, carrying words in the speech that give a fair idea about the content. Note the linking expressions used in order to follow the speaker's logic. Note examples of linkers: never, else, however, in spite of, further, moreover, conversely, etc. Learn to infer the meaning of incomplete utterances from the content. Understand the significance of hesitation and pauses. They may be used by the speaker to convey disagreement, unwillingness, or lack of information. The difference in the speed of speaking and listening creates time gaps, and you, a listener, may be prone to distractions. Use these gaps effectively to process and assimilate and the given information. God bless you.
English as a global language. Language in the world. There are 7,358 known languages in the world now, whose details are available among them. 136 are considered major languages. Among the 9 languages in the world that are spoken by more than 100 million to 1,000 million people are languages like Mandarin Chinese, English and Hindi. Status of English. According to recent survey, those who use English language either as native speaker or SL or speakers compare nearly 800 million people. Among them, native speakers come to about 350 to 380 million. This means that speakers in 20 to 30 countries. English is merging with native language to creating hybrid Englishes. This is the power and appeal of English in the present global society. The observation of the well-known sociologist Huntington is significant here. He says English is the world's way of communicating internationally and interculturally, just as the Christian calendar is the world's way of tracking time. Just as the Arabic numerals are the words of counting, and just the metric system is for the most part the world's way of merging. From the Anglo-Saxon confines of a small tribal society to the present global English, the language can be found in some form or the other in most countries around the world. As global communication expands throughout the world, so does the English language. In the present society of the internet and free trade, English dominates international business, politics, and cultural more than any language in human society. 3 circles. The Indian American linguistic Birch Kirchhoff classified English in terms of circles. The inner circles refers to the native speakers of English who are L1 speakers. UK, USA, Australia and Canada form this circle. He gives an estimate of 320 to 380 million speakers. The outer circle identifies that the spread of English as a result of colonialism and other learning. India, Pakistan, Bangladesh,
signals, colors, factory, sirens, schools, bells, etc. Since communication itself is a complex process and true communication depends on many factors, the medium of communication also demands more study and attention. The more and most important from communication also demands more study and attention. The most important form of communication that has been used by human beings, especially in modern societies, is language. Now let us examine some of the properties of human languages that form part of verbal languages. Language. Nobody knows exactly how human language originated, but it is generally believed that some kind of spoken language must have developed between 1 lakh and 50,000 years ago. As there is no direct physical evidence of the speech of early humans. Only speculations can be made about origins of human speech. Let us now examine some of the important features of human language like creativity, arbitrariness, reflexivity, displacement, duality and cultural transmission. Creativity. Human beings create new expressions and utterances continually by manipulating their linguistic resources to describe new objects and situations. These features of language is termed creativity or productivity. This means that the potential number of utterance in any human language is infinity. But this is not case with the communication systems of other creatures. Their systems are limited. They are not able to produce new signals to communicate novel experiences. Take the case of honeybees. The honeybee, which is normally able to communicate the location of a nectar source to other bees, will fail to do so if the location is really new. Experiments proved that bee communication has be a fixed set of signals for communicating location. A substantial portion of our communication is non-verbal. Our facial expressions, eye gaze, gestures, hairstyles and garments are part of direct or indirect non-verbal communication. Research has revealed that about 90% of human face-to-face communication is conveyed non-verbally. There are multitude of aspects involved in non-verbal communication. A few common types included body language, paralanguage, proxemities, haptics and sign language. Body language. Body language is the way human body communicates through its physical movements and changes in demeanor. A study of the body language involves examining inner states of emotion as expressed by different parts of the country. Body language is culture specific and constant dependent. Facial expressions, eye contact, gestures, postures, etc. constitute our body language. Alone or together, various parts of the body communicate. Body language is also referred as kinesis. Paralanguage. Paralanguage is the way we use our voice in uttering words while speaking. It includes pitch, intonation, stress, accent, hesitation, and other such inflections which add meaning to our speech. It is important in spoken language. If a listener considers only the spoken words and ignores paralanguage, the listener misses the actual messages conveyed. Promixes. Most creatures, including human beings, regard a little of the space surrounding them as their own and try to use, share and protect it. This usage of space to communicate one's feeling is known as proxemities or space distancing. In communication, usually we consider how close we can go while interacting, how close we allow other people to come, etc. Space distancing is also cultural specific and norms vary depending on the cultures. Haptics. Haptics refers to the sense of touch. Different haptic customs exist in the world. Every country, society has different perception of touch as a means of communication. In some places they shake hands, in some other places they kiss. In certain societies touching is considered rude. Generally haptic customs are common for greetings.
Dear students, today we are going to discuss about homes. Human being living in houses, but what about animals and birds? Ramu, where does a bird live?
Birds make their nests in trees.
That's good. What about horses?
We don't know, Mom.
That good. Horses are kept in a stable.
Mom, what about bees?
Bees live in a hive. Have you heard about rabbits?
Yes, Mom.
Where do they live?
We don't know, Mom.
A rabbit makes a hole in the ground to live in. We call it a burrow.
Where does a pig live?
We keep pigs in a pigsty.
Mom, pigs like to play in the mud, don't they?
Yes, they like to play in the mud, don't they?
Mom, I have read in stories that lions live in dens.
Yes, they like to stay in muddy water. Very good. Do you know where a dog lives?
Dogs lives in canals.
Have you heard about fish?
Yes, Mom. They live in water.
Very good. Some fish live in deep water and others live in shallow water.
It's really interesting to talk about homes.
Every day lives in a home. We have to keep our homes always clean and neat.
Yes, Mom. Thank you very much.
Communication and language. They all relate to horizontal distance. They cannot create a new message showing vertical distance. In other words, animal communication is limited as each signal in the system is fixed as relating to a particular object or occasion, while human communication is infinitive and creative. Arbitrariness. There is no natural connection between a linguistic form and its meaning. The connection is quite arbitrary. There is no economic or natural relationship between the bird we call dove and its linguistic form. This aspect of the relationship between linguistic signs and objects in the world is described as arbitrariness. But there are some words in language with sounds that resemble the objects or their activities. They are all called onomatopoeic words. These are relatively rare in any language. Reflectivity. All creatures communicative, but only human beings have the ability to reflect on the way they create their communicative message or to review how they work. A cat cannot give advice on its moving. Only we humans are able to reflect on language and its uses. This feature of the human language is reflectivity. It is only because of this ability that we are able to reflect on or identify all the features of the human language. Displacement. The particular feature of human language to refer to past and future time is called displacement. It allows language users to talk about things and events not present in the immediate environment. When we can talk about things and places whose existence we are not even sure of, animals cannot do this. Animal communication seems to be designed for the present moment only. But bee communication is an expectation because it has some element of displacement, though only in a limited way. It does not have the range of possibilities found in human language. God bless you. The 4 skills for communication. Duality. Duality means double articulation. Human language is organized at 2 levels simultaneously. This feature of the language is called duality. In speech production, there is a physical level when we produce individual sounds or phonemes. These individual sounds often do not have any intrinsic meaning, but in a combination of such sounds, meaning is produced and meaning varies depending on the different combinations of the same sounds. This is at one level we have distinct sounds, and at another level we have distinct meanings. This quality of levels is one of the most economic aspects of the human language because we are capable of producing a large number of sound combinations which are distinct in meaning with a limited set of discrete sounds. Animals and other creatures do not have this ability. For them, each communicative signal appears to be a single fixed form that cannot be split into parts. Cultural transmission. The process by which a language is passed on from one generation to the next is called cultural transmission. It is generally agreed that humans have an innate ability to use language, but that is not to produce utterance in a particular language. We acquire a language as part of a culture. Other creators are born with a set of specific signals that are produced instinctively. Some exceptions are there in the case of singing birds. But human infants, if growing in isolation, will produce no instinctive language. This means that for human acquisition process, cultural transmission of a specific language is required. All these aspects take us to the complexity and uniqueness of human language that demand probing into the various elements of specific human languages as systems of communication. God bless you.